Hi there. Well, it's still June, and we still got some events from the Reformation, exploration, as well as discovery. Of course, in June 22nd, 1497, the Battle of Murat, or Murten, Charles the Stout invades Switzerland during this day. And in 1533, Ferdinand of Austria and the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent sign the peace treaty, or one of many peace treaties between the Ottomans and Austria. And in 1535, Cardinal John Fisher is beheaded on Tower Hill, London, for refusing to acknowledge Henry VIII as the head of the Church of England, which is also known as the Anglican Church. And in 1559, or 1558, French take the French town, or was now the French town of Thionville, from the English. In 1559, Jewish quarter of Prague is burned and looted during this day. Still not the best times for those who are Jewish. In 1593, Battle of Sisak, Allied Christian troops defeat the Turks, meaning the Ottoman Turks. And in 1596, Cornelis de Houtman's fleet reaches Banten Java. And in 1611, Henry Hudson set adrift in Hudson Bay by mutineers aboard his own ship, the Discovery, and they are never seen again. Moving on to June 23rd, 1532, Henry VIII and Francis, or Francois II, or the First, well, really the Francis I of France, signed the secret treaty against Emperor Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor. In 1547, champion of the Protestant Reformation, Philip I, Landgrave of Hesse, is captured and taken to southern Germany. And in 1565, Turgot Reis, commander of the Ottoman Navy, dies at the siege of Malta, which is where the famous Knights of Malta, also known as the Knights of St. John, fought against the Ottomans. In 1585, Spanish army under Tacis defeats Almoravidan troops. And on June 24th, 1497, explorer John Cabot lands in North America, in present-day Canada, claimed the eastern part of Canada for England. On the same day, Cornish rebels, or Cornish traders, Michael Angoff and Thomas Flamonck are executed at Tyburn, London. And in 1509, Henry VIII is crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey. Whenever you do go to London or England, visit Westminster Abbey. And in 1522, Portuguese construction of Fort Castella on island Ternate in the Maluku Islands is being constructed after the encouragement from Sultan Bayahula of Ternate. And in 1527, Paracelsus publicly burns a standard medical textbooks in Basel in protest against the current practice and methods of teaching, or the teaching of what is then the medical practices. This is more like a reform, like protesting against the current way of the current practices. He wanted something else, something new. And of course, 1527, the same day, Gustav I begins the Reformation in Sweden, and he takes Catholic possessions as a sign of the Reformation. And in 1529, Zurich and Catholic cantons signed the peace treaty of Kappel. Moving on, 1535, Anabaptist Protestants are conquered and disbanded, and Hessiske troops occupy Munster. And in 1540, English Henry VIII commands his fourth wife, Anne of Cleves, to leave court. This is where he begins his famous, the first is Catherine of Aragon, as they lead on to other wives. In 1572, clergymen of Enkhuizen are hanged. In 1597, Cornelis de Houtman's Dutch fleet reaches Bantan, West Java. In 1619, Tsar Michael's father becomes the patriarch. Father Philaret becomes patriarch of Moscow. Moving on to June 25th, 1500, Pope Alexander VI accepts the Treaty of Granada. And in 1530, the Augsburg Confession, where Germany's Protestant princes forced the Holy Roman Empire or Emperor Charles V to hear their confession of faith, meaning they wanted to switch to Protestantism. And knowing him, he wanted to stick to the Catholic Church. And in 1580, Book of Concord Standards of Lutheran Church is first published. And in 1606, Alkmaar's clergy asked the great Dertelheid and Saint Hansna is forbidden blank canvas for drunkenness. And meaning you really have no excuse to be drunk anyways. In 1606, mentally ill Emperor Rudolph II signs the Treaty of Leiden, giving up Austria, Hungary, and Moravia. In 1621, French government army occupies Fort Saint Jean d'Angely at La Rochelle. On June 26, 1498, the toothbrush is invented in China using boar bristles. In 1541, former followers murder Francisco Pizzaro, the Spanish conqueror of Peru and the Inca Empire. And in 1553, Christ's Hospital in England is granted a charter to be constructed. On June 27th, 1542, Juan Rodriguez Cabrito set sail from the Mexican port of Navidad to explore the west coast of North America on behalf of the Spanish Empire. 1580, Duke of Alva's army occupies Portugal. June 28th, 1519, King Charles I is elected, or actually King Carlos is elected Holy Roman Emperor, or Holy Roman Catholic Emperor Charles V. Well, you can see his name is first Carlos I, then Charles V. On June 28th, 1524, Duke of Bourbon occupies Provence. In 1575, Spanish troops conquer an area of Buren. In 1593, Earl Mauritius conquers Geertruidenberg. In 1529, the Peace of Alais, rights of French Huguenots, is limited. On June 29th, 1529, Jacques Cartier discovers the Prince Edward Islands, Canada. In 1540, former Lord Privy Seal and Chancellor of the Exchequer of England, Thomas Cromwell, is indicted as a heretic. In 1552, Italian physician and mathematician Girolamo Cardano arrives in Edinburgh, Scotland, to treat John Hamilton, the Archbishop of St. Andrews, for over 2,000 gold crowns as payment. And in 1613, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London burns down during the performance of Henry VIII. On June 30th, 1520, Spanish conquistadors are expelled from Tenochtitlan, the famous Aztec city, following an Aztec revolt against their rule under Hernán Cortez. During La Noche Triste, the Night of Sadness, many soldiers drown in the escape, and Montezuma II dies in the struggle. As they've captured him, they've taken over, but the Aztecs see this opportunity to revolt. And in 1528, Burgundian army occupies Utrecht. And in 1548, Augsburg interim is issued by Charles V to become a law order to Lutherans to return to Catholic practices with some concessions. Really, not all of them agree, and they remain Lutheran. And in 1558, King Henry II of France is seriously injured in a jousting match against Gabriel de Montgomery. And in 1596, English and Dutch fleet reach Cadiz. And in 1598, King Philip II moves to Escorial Palace. And in 1607, Annales Ecclesiastici, or Ecclesiastici, the scientific history of Catholicism, is published. Well, that's the rest of June. You have a good one. Bye.